Hi everyone, this is Jennifer from Summa Counseling, and today we will be discussing teacher recommendation letters. So, why are these letters so important? The reason is that they tell colleges the story behind your grades and your test scores. For example, they help colleges understand the kind of student you will be in their classroom, whether you will be a very collaborative team player in carrying out group assignments, whether you will contribute frequently to class discussions, and also what your work ethic is like, how disciplined you are in getting all of your assignments done, how risk taking you might be, and how creatively you might tackle your schoolwork. So, for all of these reasons, the teacher recommendation letter is critical in any competitive admissions process. Now, let's start off by talking about who you should ask for these letters. The Common Application recommends two academic teachers from junior or senior year. I personally think junior year is better because your teacher will have taught you for a full 9 months. Now, ideally, your teacher may have taught you for multiple subjects or multiple years and possibly also served as a coach or an advisor to a school club, which would allow them to discuss your participation both inside and outside of the classroom. Now, if you know of a teacher of an elective class that you feel very close to, it is okay to ask for letters from those teachers, but they would have to be the optional or supplementary teacher letter and not one of your two main letters. So we'll discuss that more later. Uh, in the old days, colleges often said they wanted a teacher from math or science and English or the humanities. But today, most colleges say they will accept any two teachers as long as they don't teach the exact same subject. So, for example, chemistry and math would be fine, but two math teachers would not be ideal, and neither would two science teachers. So, as long as they're from different departments, it should be fine. Now, it's very important to remember to choose teachers who know you really well. And these might not be the teachers that gave you the best grade, because for one, a lot of times it's going to be your most challenging subjects where your teacher will have seen your maturity level as a student or seen you really struggle with concepts. And they will be able to write a much more interesting letter about you than a teacher, for example, of a class that you thought was really easy and you really didn't do much work for. Now, another good way to make sure your teacher letter will be strong is to uh, observe what your teacher's reaction is when you ask him or her to write a letter. If he or she seems hesitant at all, it is a good idea to have a frank discussion with them. You can ask them very plainly if they think that they know you well enough, for example, to write a strong letter. And in fact, to make it even less awkward for them to decline, you can suggest that there could be other teachers you could turn to if for any reason this particular teacher feels that they wouldn't know you well enough in the time that they taught you. So it's important to have this honest exchange. The last thing you want is a teacher writing a letter just because they are too embarrassed to say no or they don't want to hurt your feelings, because certainly then their letter won't be that strong. Now, another important factor to remember is that teachers who are strong writers will tend to produce the best letters. So, if you have foreign language teachers, for example, where you know English is not their first language, then it may not be the best idea to ask them to write you a letter unless they have a resource or they have somebody that they would be working with on that letter. Finally, a lot of schools allow you to submit what they call a supplemental recommendation. Sometimes they allow you to even submit up to two of these. And this would be from anybody, not just an academic teacher. It could be an elective teacher, such as drama or orchestra. It could be a coach. It could be a church pastor. It could be a music teacher. And this letter really allows you to show the college a different side of yourself. If you have, any talent or skill, or you've pursued unusual projects. You might have started your own business, or started a community service project to fill a need in your community, such as possibly helping kids with reading. And anytime you've done something like this, if you have a advisor or somebody who worked closely with you who can write about your accomplishments, that will always strengthen your application. Now, a last note is to make sure you give your teachers, anybody who writes you a letter of recommendation, enough time to do a good job. It is not only going to seem disrespectful if you wait until the last minute to ask your teacher for a letter, but you can also be pretty sure that they will not do the best job that they could have done if they're feeling rushed or stressed or even possibly irritated that you waited until the last minute. The best time to ask for a college admissions letter is before summer of your senior year. This gives your teacher the entire summer to think about and plan out the letter. And they can write the letter at a time when they won't be stressed. Senior application season is probably the worst time to force a teacher to write a letter because they may also be getting a lot of requests to revise essays and to consult with seniors on the application process. So, what should you give your teachers to make sure that they write the best possible letter for you? It is a mistake to think that this is your teacher's job and that you should just turn over the form to them and let them write whatever they want to. Most teachers do not remember in great detail every important interaction that they've had with you as a student. They simply have too many students, or it could possibly have been many months since they've had you as a student, so they don't remember all of the details. So it's your job to help them remember all the information that can make you come alive as a very compelling, intellectually curious, and uh, distinctive student to the colleges. So, how do we help teachers write the best letter that they can? Well, we have to provide them with a lot of information. The first recommendation is to give them a short cover letter. This will note any special considerations in your application, such as early action, which will affect the deadline by when the letter must be done. It provides your contact information, and of course, thanks your teacher for their time. Now, within this letter, you should list all the colleges you're applying to, the deadlines, and ideally note the order of preference to you. So this helps your teacher understand which colleges are your top priority. Now, they may or may not spend more time on the letters for particular colleges, but at least if they know your first choice college, it gives them the option to potentially customize that letter for you. You should also include a copy of your best college essay, a resume that outlines your extracurricular activities, work experience, honors and awards, and any special skills or talents that you have. And finally, a statement called the personal profile. And this is where you will communicate to your teacher all of the most distinctive memories you have of the class they taught. So, for example, if there were certain subjects that were your favorite topics to learn, you should highlight that. If there was a particular lab or essay or even group project that you did exceptionally well on, you should discuss that. And you can tell a, a project that you've done an outstanding job on, not only by the grade that you received, but also by any comments that your teacher made. So if it was an assignment where they might have said, in all my years of teaching, this is one of the top uh, essays that I've ever read on East of Eden, or whatever novel it might be, then that's very powerful. And you should definitely remind your teacher of that essay that you did. In fact, I would even include a copy of the essay so that your teacher can remember the quality of your work and possibly even quote some of it in their letter. The more detailed the recommendation letter is, the stronger it will seem. What you want to avoid is having your teacher write in these very general, fluffy terms. So and so was a pleasure to have. He is so responsible. He gets all his work done. He's very reliable. Uh, what you want is very specific, more colorful stories in the letter. So, Johnny was uh, the student who wrote the best East of Eden essay that I can remember in my 20 years of teaching. And believe it or not, many colleges will ask your teacher to rank you on a certain set of qualities like intellectual curiosity, leadership in the classroom, for example. And the last column usually is the top few students I've ever encountered in my career. Obviously, if we're lucky enough to get that distinction from one of our teachers, it will really help your application stand out. So, other topics you can cover in this personal profile are why you're applying to the colleges that you've chosen, why you want to attend your first choice college. If your teacher can incorporate some of those reasons into the letter, it can really strengthen your application. Your future major and career, if you already know, how you contributed to the class your teacher has taught. So, for example, class discussions, group projects, etc., and possibly any obstacles you've overcome, either in your academic life, for example, if you have learning disabilities or other challenges, or it can be in your personal life if there's been any kind of tragedy or hardship that you or your family has faced. It's great if your teacher can shed light on that for the admissions officers. And finally, don't forget to write a handwritten thank you note to your teacher, and also make sure you follow up and let them know what the results were of the admissions process and where you chose to go to college. Teachers really value learning about the outcome of their hard work, so it's important to communicate with them even after the process is done. And that ends our discussion on teacher recommendations.